Today's topic is an interactive workshop on how to create an about page that educates, engages, and inspires. I spent a lot of time as a B2B SaaS marketing consultant focused on content marketing, website design, go-to-market strategies. About pages are a passion of mine because they're so important. They matter, yet they're often second-class citizens. And the question is, for many about pages, why are many of them at best meh? I think we've all run into about pages that don't answer the questions that we have and don't provide us with confidence that the company that we're considering, whether from an employee, purchase, partnership perspective, doesn't tell us what we need to know. And there's many reasons. One of them is that they fail to explain what the company does, who it serves, how it delivers, how it's different in its history. So these are things that I think are table stakes. There's often no photos or bios of the leadership team. That makes me very nervous and suspicious, because if you're not front and center about who's behind the company, then how could you have confidence in what the company does? Bad design and no visual appeal, no personality or insight into the company's culture, and no clear calls to action. Often about pages are mishmash, they're hodgepodge of information. There's no strategic thinking, and there's no thought about who about pages need to serve and what companies want them to do, because every page on a website has a job to do. One of the other mistakes made by many about pages is there's no about page. This is an example of a company called Signature Hound, and they help you create, obviously, email signatures, but there's nothing on this page that tells me who they are, what they do, who the leadership team is, what their missions are, what their mission, their values are. And that makes me nervous. And I wonder, what are they missing? Why didn't they do what they needed to do there? When you think about within an about page, is that about pages serve multiple audiences for different reasons. And as a result, they need to be multifaceted, and they need to tell your story in a different way. So for example, if your about page is serving prospects, what do they need to know about you? What's going to make them more confident and curious and excited about how you're going to meet their needs? And for that matter, what's your backstory? Why are you doing what you're doing? Many companies are looking for partners, and so they want to see the benefits of your service and your success stories. Investors also visit about pages, so they want to see your growth metrics and your potential. Many about pages are HR vehicles where you can share your vision, your mission, and your values. And then the media is always interested in learning more about the company and the story behind the story. But when we think about our about pages, it's not a one-size-fits-all proposition. Different types of information for different audiences. Now, when you think about B2B SaaS website traffic, and this I think applies to B2C as well for many companies, is that home is obviously the most popular page on your website. And about is, in many cases, a clear second. So home will probably get, let's say they get 60 or 70% of your traffic, and home could get 20 to 30%. And then followed by product, pricing, and blog. And so it just goes to show that if you underestimate the value of your page, then you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're not serving your audiences in the way that you should. There's a HubSpot study that asked the audience, what element or which element do you feel is the most important for a business to have on its website? Number one is obviously contact us. This is interesting. Number two was about us. So even more evidence that about us matters. Rand Fishkin, who runs a company called Spark Toro, says great about page humanizes your brand and gives potential customers a reason to trust you. And that is the underlying message here. So let's get into the weeds a little bit and talk about what I call the about page widgets. And not every widget needs to apply to every company. As I said, we serve our audiences in different ways, but for the most part, this is like the recipe that I would follow for an about page. At the top of the page is your top level navigation. Many companies bury the about widget or the about link in the footer. And I'm a big fan of actually putting it in the top level navigation as an option, because obviously if it's one of the most popular pages, why would you bury it? Why would you hide it? You should showcase it. Then you have a headline, typical hero image headline with an image of your people and or your product. So it just introduces the fact that this is the page that you're on. Description of the product or service. I always find it interesting when a company launches into their mission or their vision or something that's a lot more obtuse than simply telling me, what do you do? Who do you serve? What's your story? Why would you matter to me? Let me get into the leadership team, talking about, so who are the people behind the company? Tell me about your products. One thing you cannot assume is people are going to be on your homepage or any other pages. They may just go right to your about page. So you want to tell them about your products, how you serve their needs, followed by your culture and your values, your mission and vision, and then social proof, customer logos, testimonials, your partners, awards that you've won. And then finally, and often many companies skip this step, is a CTA. On every page of your website, you want to guide people to do something next. If you don't do it, often won't do anything. You have to guide them. You have to tell them what they should do. And there's different options to do that. And we'll get into that. So let's start with tell them what you do. So what is your story and why could you matter to them? And as I said, don't assume someone has visited your homepage or for that matter, any page on your website. So just as your homepage is structured to give people a pretty thorough snapshot of your company and what it does and how it meets their needs and how it has met the needs of other customers, your about page has a similar job to perform. And I would say that home and about have multiple jobs, whereas your landing pages may have a single job or more of a focused job. So some examples of the good when it comes to companies that are really straightforward in terms of what they do and why they matter. This Shopify. So obviously everybody may know of Shopify, obviously an e-commerce platform. So Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide. It's the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow a business. Good headline, short description. I like the idea that after you understand what they do, then they give you the backstory. So what is their origin story? And in the case of Shopify, I think they were selling snowboards online. Toby Lutke started the company for his own needs. And then, so it gives the company personality. It allows you to connect with the brand, to understand that there are entrepreneurs behind this company. Airtable, again, very simple explanation. Airtable enables any team, regardless of technical skill, to create apps on top of shared data and power the most critical and unique platforms. And then they follow that with what they do. So again, really straightforward, really simple. Just tell me what I need to know. Then you can get into other elements of the story. This is Intercom, just another example. I like the idea that they're showing their people. And again, just a simple story that they're telling. It seems straightforward, maybe even simplistic, but if you aren't, like people are operating really multitasking and they want instant gratification, and this is the way to give it to them. And then you've got a company Zero. And what's interesting about Zero is like we help small businesses thrive worldwide, but they're not afraid to have a CTA at the top of the page, which is you get 75% off for 6 months if you purchase Zero now. So it doesn't necessarily have to be all about the company. It can basically be a sales platform as well. And as I said, if you have any questions along the way, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. And then you've got companies that quirky approaches to about pages. And this is Liquid Death. And the line at the bottom says, we're just a funny beverage company who hates corporate marketing as much as you do. Our evil mission is to make people laugh and get them to drink more healthy beverages more often, all while helping to kill plastic pollution. So just another creative approach to the about page. And Liquid Death, I think, benefits from the fact that it has a very high profile brand. So most people know what Liquid Death does, which is obviously water in a can. Some examples of about pages that don't do the job. And it's surprising that some very large companies have about pages that leave you wondering, why didn't they do a better job of that? One is Databricks. Your data, your AI, your future. I have no idea what that is. I really don't know what a data intelligence platform is. And then they're basically having all these announcements about their product. It's really about the company and the product. It's not about me, the consumer, or the prospect. So I really don't really understand at this point what they do and why they would matter. So rather than all this information about here's what we're doing, here's what information we're at, tell me what you do and how you can serve my needs. This is rescue time. We help you do what matters most to you. And then they say, well, I've helped 2 million people optimize their days. How? Well, this is obviously an app that allows you to focus by shutting off different other applications and other websites, but they don't tell you that. So there's a bit of a guessing game here. You get an idea that this is a time-saving app, but I'm not sure how they do it and what I should do next. And I guess you have to learn, you click more to learn about their story, but I don't want to click. I want it right away. I want it right now. This is a startup that I talked to recently, and they led with their mission. And it's a little bit confusing because I'm not sure what this company does and I'm not sure who they serve. At the end of the day, what they're actually doing is they're a career site for students, but they've got a lot of mishmash of messages right up top, and it's a lot of information to sift through, and I'm not clear about who they're actually talking to. So a good example of somebody trying to do too much all at the same time. The next thing you should be focused on is your people. Obviously, people buy from people. That's one of the realities of a B2C or a B2B business, is that we often think that we buy from companies, but in many cases we're buying from people that we know and that we trust and we like, especially if you're a solo business. So best practice for people is high quality photos on your page, no stock photos. You see these sort of cheesy employee photos, people collaborating around a desk, and it's clearly come from a stock photo collection. It's not real people. Showcase your people, not just a leadership team, but your employees. A lot of companies are afraid to showcase their employees on an about page because they're afraid they'll be poached. But if it's that easy to steal your employees, then you've got a HR problem that you should think about. And I believe for senior management bios, short bios on LinkedIn, links for senior management team, give me an opportunity to dig deeper if I want to. And the other big thing these days is diversity and inclusion, and showcase the diversity of your team with different backgrounds and skills. And we'll get into some examples of that. So here's just some different approaches to the people page. This is Airtable, and Airtable it's not terribly creative, but they do highlight the senior management team, and they do give you a sense of what they do, where they've come from, what the responsibilities are. Another approach, a bigger team. If you go on this website, if you click on one of the pictures, it flips over. So for the girl in the middle, she wanted to be a veterinarian. So a little bit of fun, a little bit of creativity. It's good to show personality in terms of your team. Another approach is essentially, this is Databox. I would encourage you to take a really good look at Databox's about page. It's best practices for like across the board for everything that I talk about. I recently wrote a LinkedIn post on Databox with a carousel, but it's beautifully done, very informative. They take a very serious approach to the about page, so it's best practices. So this is just a nice way of them showcasing their team. And I like the use of colors here, like the squares, the purple and pink and blue squares, because it just means that you don't see a wall of photos. There's a little bit of, it's just a little more user-friendly. Other area to think about is in terms of social proof. Ignore the footer, sorry about that. It's just everybody needs to understand like why you matter, and they want to validate they're not the first people to go before you. So in terms of social proof, you're talking about things like growth. Like no one wants to be first. No one wants to work for a small company. Everybody wants to work with a company that's on the uprise, that is growing quickly. So this is Xero, and their story is founded in 2006, and we have 4.16 million subscribers. So if you think about that, why wouldn't you want to be more confident about Xero and their ability to serve your needs? If 4 million people are before you, then it suggests that you're in good hands. Another way is, again, Databox with social proof, and essentially giving you a snapshot of the key metrics. So 20,000 users, businesses use Databox. They have 105 playmakers. They're used in 18 different countries, 100 plus data integrations. So again, it's about the product, but it's also making you feel more confident about the fact that they can meet your needs. Obviously, again, logos on your about page. Often you'll always see logos on a home page, but sometimes you don't see logos on an about page. And again, people may head to the about page first, and then the key facts about the companies. So again, 500,000 organizations use Airtable. They've raised $1.3 billion, which is really impressive, and they have 6 offices around the world. So again, providing you with validation and social proof of who they are. And also testimonials. Often you don't see testimonials on an about page because it's mostly product centric or company centric, but it should be customer centric. And so this is another example from Databox. I might as well have done an about workshop based on everything from Databox. But this is Andy Cook, company from Tetra, and there's a quote from him, and then there's a link to read the customer reviews, and you've got a bunch of logos. So again, social proof. 20,000 businesses use this product, including a very happy customer called Andy Cook. Also important to talk about corporate culture, given the fact that the About page is really trying to make customers feel like you're an organization that they want to be part of. Obviously, it appeals to employees or people looking for jobs and why your company would matter to them, why they would want to work with your company. Partners are also interested in that, and investors increasingly are interested in things like corporate culture and diversity and inclusion. So best practices, simple, showcase your people and the experience of working at the company or working with your company. This is WordPress. I love this photo. I love the idea that we're as diverse as the websites our customers create. And it just showcases the fact that lots of different people from lots of different ethnic backgrounds, and this is, imagine getting all these people together in one place, especially these days. So a really nice example of, we're all in this together. Wouldn't you want to work with us, or wouldn't you want to do business with us? Because we're WordPress, and this is our approach to doing business. Love it, love it. Databox, again, trying to give you a sense of the corporate culture, a little bit of product, a little bit of what it's like to work in the office, and then obviously they're somewhere in the desert, somewhere on a group outing, everybody seems to be happy, and wouldn't you want to be part of that experience? Wouldn't you want to be part of that team? This is a company called Yoko Local. It's fun, it's personal, right? People are having a good time. They don't take themselves too seriously. So again, right, if you are interested in their culture, if you want to work at a company, why wouldn't you want to work at a company like that? So it just makes people curious, and it just shows brand personality. And I think personality is something that we forget, especially in B2B, that we try to be really serious all the time and far too formal for our own good. So this is a good example of that. And this is Zendesk. This is highlighting obviously one of their employees, and they're trying to be a force for good, and with the Zendesk Foundation. And so talking about their volunteer hours and trying to give you a sense of social responsibility. And if you're interested in being part of our team, these are a part of our ethos here. Mission vision is something that, it's funny because I have mixed views on mission vision. They're very corporate centric, and the question is, are prospects and partners and investors interested in your mission and vision? I think they are, but probably don't emphasize them or have as much interest as companies believe they do. So they have a role on the website. On the About page, I'm just not sure whether it should be the lead actor as opposed to a secondary player. That's just my personal view. It could be wrong, but that's just the way I look at it. This is a company called Pluto, and our mission is empowering everyone to start, run, and grow their business from anywhere. Simple, right? And this is straightforward, gives you a sense of why they would matter to you, and they mix their vision with a little bit of corporate culture here. So people hanging out on trips, showing what their employees look like. So it's a nice way of basically saying, hey, this is who we are and this is what we believe. Another example, I think this is Databox, their values here, very straightforward in terms of what it's like to work at the company, how they operate, what the corporate environment is like, relentless self-improvement, open, candid, and constructive. Again, giving you a glimpse of how this company operates and whether you would like to work with them or partner with them or invest in them. This is another example from a company called Marvel, and these are their values. And again, user-friendly language, really giving you a sense of what they believe, how they work, what's important to them. And it says to potential employees, this is who we are, and if you're interested in this kind of corporate environment, then perhaps you should explore working with us. Call to action, and this is something that I think on a lot of About pages, companies are reluctant to push because they're afraid that it comes across as salesy, but there are different ways to skin a cat here. And best practices are around the idea that people visit About pages for different reasons, as we started on the top. So they may want to learn about your mission, they may want to meet your team, they may want to contact you, read your case studies, subscribe to your newsletter, schedule a demo, follow you on social media, or apply for a job. So there's lots of different ways that you can tell people what to do next. So a few examples here is come nerd out with us. This is a company, this is a nerd wallet nice branding on their about page. They really have a good brand personality. So they're basically, a key part of their about page is really they're fast growing. They've got a lot of open positions, and they want to make it abundantly clear that what you should do if you're visiting this page is you should see if there are jobs that you can apply for. Really important to them. Again, with Databox, another way of making sure that they've got jobs that got available, and they actually list the number of jobs they've got. So it gives you a sense of the fact that there's lots of jobs available as opposed to simply putting open job positions. And then this company called WebDo, this is what a lot of companies do. They push you to subscribe to their newsletter. Nothing wrong with it. And it's a great CTA because if you read the about page, you like what the company does, you're interested in the corporate culture or their products, then you're probably in a good position to join their newsletter. So it's just, again, if you don't ask, you don't get. Ask for an email address and you'll get a response. And then a rapid fire round. Chris, if you want me to take a look at your about page, happy to do that. If you're shy, we can do it offline later. But just wanted to give people a chance to put their about page front center and give you an opportunity to get some quick assessment. I'll do it offline if you want to and respond to you in a Loom video. That makes sense to you. And then finally, just want to talk about some tools in terms of, and these are straightforward and these can apply to your website overall. Google Analytics, trying to get a sense of how much traffic actually goes to your about page, trying to get a sense of when they visit your about page, what are they doing on it? So you can do that with Hotjar or Crazy Egg. You can do some A/B testing on your about page, obviously. Speed matters to your web page, so you want to make sure your about page loads quickly. You might want to get some usability feedback. Figma is a great way to play around with designs and collaborate on about page design. And then you can look at Browser Stack to see how your about page appears, performs in different browsers and devices. And I'll share the presentation so that you don't have to write everything down here. Any questions want to ask me? We've covered a lot of ground in a relatively short period of time. If there's any questions you have now or later, happy to answer them. Chris, you asked about mission vision. I think it can help and add personality. I agree. I think it's just another way of being very customer centric. Other questions here? If you have questions, you can email me, mark@markevans.ca. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. Just look for Mark Evans, Fractional CMO, and you can connect with me there and just send me a DM. But happy to answer any questions about page development as well. I also have a package about refreshing your homepage. So if you've got a homepage that's not converting, not engaging, low conversion rates, high bounce rates, I have a package where we'll develop your messaging framework, create wireframes, develop copy for your website. So it's another way of making sure your website performs better. So a better about page and a better homepage. It's a powerful 1-2 punch. And as I said, if you want to get in touch with me, email mark@markevans.ca. My website is marketingspark.co. You can call me old school if that's what you want to do, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So that is how to create an about page, better about page, more engaging about page. Rapid fire, obviously covered a lot of ground in a short period of time, but wanted to make the best use of your time and identify some of the key pillars that you need to think about in terms of creating a more appealing about page. And as I said, if you have any questions, please email me or send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I will share the presentation and some other relevant information afterwards. But I just want to thank you for attending the workshop. Enjoy your weekend, and I will keep you in the loop when it comes to further workshops down the road.